Very pleased to have with us Research Director at the Independence Institute, Mr. Dave Kopel. Dave, how you doing, sir?
Oh, could be better.
Absolutely. We've been watching, and I've been seeing what's going on your Twitter feed with the votes in the House of Representatives today. We've seen 5 bad bills clear the legislature in Colorado. 2 of them did not get a vote on last Friday in the state Senate, but I mean, Dave, we've got some awful bills headed to Governor Hickenlooper's desk.
Well, and he's going to sign them all. And I'll say one of them is not such a bad bill. It says that for the concealed carry permit class, the training can't be entirely online. You have to have some personal interaction between the trainer and the trainee. And I think that's, you can argue about whether there should be training or not for concealed carry, but the Colorado 2003 Act plainly said there was. And then this just, as modified by the legislature, just continues that legislative intent from 2003. So I think that bill's okay.
Okay, now what about the others, like the magazine ban, for instance?
The magazine ban is on the floor right now. It is going to pass. It is and the sponsor, Representative Rhonda Fields, is in her standard mode of attacking gun owners. She said the only reason for a high-capacity magazine, which she defines as anything over 15, is to kill as many people as possible. So every one of in this radio audience and elsewhere in the country who owns a Glock 9mm with a 17-round magazine or an AR-15 with a 30-round magazine, according to her, and it's her bill that's going to become the law in Colorado, the only reason you have it is because you want to murder a lot of people.
That's what she said, huh?
That is what she says. That's going to be the law of the state of Colorado. This is an example of the bigotry and hatred that President Obama and Michael Bloomberg and their local puppets are fomenting in Colorado and nationwide.
Well, let me ask you a question about that, Dave, because I'm having a hard time understanding how someone can say the only reason why anybody would want to own these magazines is to murder people, and that's why we're going to ban the possession of them. But you know what? We want companies like Magpul to stay in the state of Colorado and make these little murder boxes as long as they don't sell them in the state of Colorado.
Well, yeah, that shows as Representative Mark Waller, the minority leader in Colorado in the House, pointed out, it shows the complete hypocrisy.
Yes.
That this isn't really about public safety.
No.
No, this is about a political agenda. It is about a collective expression of hatred. But on the other hand, they want the money. If they genuinely cared about public safety, and if they actually genuinely believed, I think Rhonda Fields is totally sincere in her absolute bigotry against law-abiding gun owners. But if the rest of the legislature that's passing this actually had the sincerity of Rhonda Fields' bigotry, they wouldn't say you can sell to other states all these things that supposedly are made only for murdering people.
Yeah. And, again, Dave, with that attitude, why would companies like Magpul want to stay in the state of Colorado?
No, who wants to stay in a state where they say the only reason you're making these things is to facilitate murder?
Exactly.
And what a vicious insult to the Magpul employees, and when you add in all their suppliers and the companies work with them, you've got about 1,000 jobs. So you've got 1,000 families that Representative Fields is saying, and Governor Hickenlooper is going to sign this, that they're all saying that we think your job, that the reason you're in your business is to make murder weapons. That's why you do it. We think that's your business, is supplying murder weapons to criminals.
Yep. And again, I think it should be pointed out at every opportunity that the people who say these things also voted for an amendment that would allow this company to stay there and make these things that these politicians abhor and say they detest because they didn't want to be painted as a job killer. They wanted the tax revenue. These are hypocrites.
They're either pro-murder. They're either pro-murder or they're complete lying hypocrites.
Absolutely, and they should be. I think, Dave, they should have to explain these votes. They should have to explain why they voted for something like this. What is it? What is their position? Are they hypocrites? Are they in favor of exporting murder boxes nationwide? Again, I want reporters in the state of Colorado to hold these officials accountable for their votes.
It's not, well, we have some good reporters at the Denver Post who have actually been doing a pretty fair job in covering the issue. But the accountability is going to come in November 2014, and it is going to come down to a question of whether there are the quantity and hours, many hours worked by NRA volunteers in swing districts in the state house versus the millions that Michael Bloomberg and his hate campaign are going to pour into the state of Colorado. That's what it's up to. It's the army of the people against the billionaire.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I saw a profile of Bloomberg today that Howard Wolfson, his deputy, said, Bloomberg had spent $10 million in 2012 and said he was just getting started. I was like, the tip of the iceberg, drop in the bucket, something like that.
No, look, he's going to outspend the National Rifle Association and every other pro-gun group combined. Mm-hmm. He's probably going to outspend them plus every other pro-gun candidate combined in the swing districts. The money is going to be overwhelming. And the only thing that has a chance of defeating it is what Michael Bloomberg can't buy, which is the political activism of Americans who love their Constitution.
Absolutely. Dave, what do you think about the prospects of court challenges for these any of these bills?
Pretty good, and we're talking about that among the folks who would be involved in that are having discussions about that.
Okay. I want to ask you as well, we did see the campus carry bill pulled.
That was huge, by the way.
That was absolutely.
And it's on the same day that we beat the campus carry ban in the Colorado State Senate last Friday. South Dakota re-legalized teachers being able to carry firearms at school. So Friday was nationally a really good day for campus safety and for doing something that actually will reduce the death toll from mass murder attackers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the liability bill never got brought to a vote on Friday.
No,
as well.
because it would have lost. So let's say Colorado is the tip of the spear for Obama and Bloomberg, and even with everything they threw in a very heavily Democratic legislature, they couldn't get anything done on so-called assault weapons, and they couldn't outlaw campus carry.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like
so we're winning those issues in the public debate, and nationally, and our win in Colorado accelerates our progress in that nationally.
And it seems like, and again, to that extent, I think the campus carry defeat really is huge, or the defeat of the attempted ban absolutely is huge. To that end, going back to the background checks, I mean, clearly this is something that President Obama and Mayor Bloomberg are really trying to put their full weight behind. What are some of the problems that you've seen with this so-called universal background check bill in Colorado?
Well, the Colorado bill is the copy of the Bloomberg bill nationally, and a copy of the Schumer bill that's been introduced.
Okay.
Now, as the Bloomberg bill moved through the Colorado legislature, there were improvements made to it. So it now allows me as a NRA firearms safety instructor working in a classroom where, as you know, part of the curriculum is you give students unloaded guns and they learn how to operate the gun and, start learning the mechanics of it, that I can do that without having to put them through a background check. But here's what's still in the bill. If you leave town for, say, a business trip for a week, you can't let your wife have your guns. Or if you're a farm, most farms in Colorado are now corporations in which, say, all members of the family are shareholders in the corporation. So the farm acquires a gun for pest and predator control. According to the background check bill, which is coming up for a vote later today, every single member of that corporation has to go through a background check. So you've got, say, 23 people who are in this extended family that owns their shareholders in the family farm corporation. To acquire one gun, 23 background checks times $20 in fees per background check.
That is insane. That is, I mean, this is insane, Dave.
It is insane if the objective were public safety, but it is not. It is politics, and it is the White House running things, and Bloomberg is the chief operating officer in Colorado.
All right.
We might as well change the state motto to the Bloomberg state, because that's who runs this place now.
What have you been hearing, Dave, from gun owners, from even non-gun owners? I'm curious. You talk to a lot of folks in Colorado. Are the folks who are aware of what's going on, let's say the non-low information voters, what are they saying right now?
I think there is a growing sense that the legislature is overreaching and has gone too far. And that when you say something like universal background checks for sales, people favor that. But when you say it's against the law to let your wife have your gun when you're out of town, when you say that a family farm has to do 23 background checks to get to buy a single gun, that's crazy. They don't support that. And when you find out what they mean by high-capacity magazines is actually the standard magazines that lots of regular people bought as the factory-made magazine for their regular gun, they understand that's going too far.
Yeah, I mean, we've been...
And they likewise understand that it goes too far when you say if you're a shooting competitor and you have, a 20-round magazine and you go to a shooting competition and your grandfather, because you acquired the gun before, the magazine before the effective date of the ban, and a competitor has a magazine which breaks, and so you loan him your 20-round magazine for 2 hours, that destroys your grandfather. They understand that goes too far.
It's just appalling to me that this has happened here. And Dave, as you say, 2014 is when the voters get to speak out. I would imagine that there will be lawsuits between now and then. But, we've also even heard some lawmakers say that they don't plan on complying with some of these laws.
Well, Senator Greg Brophy has said that, and there is certainly plenty of Supreme Court precedent from First Amendment cases that if a law is unconstitutional, you don't have an obligation to obey it, and that's sort of a general principle overall. I mean, if a law is unconstitutional, then it's not really a law. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, U.S. Constitution, I believe Article 7. It's the supreme law of the land, and so when you flagrantly violate the Constitution, as these bills do, then there is a plausible argument that no one has a genuine obligation to obey them. Now, that said, you can still get prosecuted for it. Lots of people have been prosecuted and sent to prison for violating unconstitutional laws.
Well, yeah, absolutely right. And this is, that's what to me is so scary about this, Dave, is that really, these bills, we had a great comment from one of our listeners earlier, Tom in Austin, who talked about these ideas aren't just not good, they're destructive because these laws weaken good laws because they are so bad that they actually erode, I think, respect and even adherence to the rule of law.
Yes, and it means that, and it's one of the reasons that county sheriffs of Colorado, all 62 of them, Democrat and Republican, unanimously opposed all these bills because they know it's going to make people afraid of law enforcement. And the sheriffs know that effective law enforcement requires the active cooperation of citizens who come forward and report something that they've seen or that they're hearing that could be a problem. And now that you've turned law-abiding gun owners into criminals, law-abiding gun owners will be more prudent and say, well, you're the wife. Well, the guy's out of town. Her husband's out of town on a business trip for 4 days, and she's got his guns. And maybe she hears something going on at the apartment next door, like some domestic violence. Maybe she's afraid to call the police now because she has illegal guns in Colorado. 18 months in prison for every single one of them, according to Colorado law. So maybe she doesn't make that phone call to report the domestic violence going on next door.
Well, listen, Dave, I don't know what happens next in terms of where the the fight heads for gun owners? I'm assuming the courts, but in the meantime,
the courts. But it is the ballot box. We either do something about this in 2014, or the things that Colorado is suffering in 2013 are going to be very minor compared to what's going to happen nationally.
Absolutely right. Dave Kopel, thank you, sir, for your time this afternoon.
Okay. Thank you.